Someone bumps into them and they apologize. They ask a question in a meeting and they apologize first for asking it. They need to cancel plans because they are sick, and they spend more time apologizing for the inconvenience than explaining that they are unwell. They take up a seat on a crowded train and quietly say sorry to no one in particular for existing in the space their ticket paid for. If you do this, or if you know someone who does, you have probably noticed how strange it is once you actually pay attention to it. Because most of these moments require no apology at all. Nobody was wronged. Nothing was done. And yet the word comes out anyway, automatically, before the brain even has time to check whether it is warranted. So what is actually going on? Why do some people apologize for things that are not their fault, that are not anyone's fault, that do not need an apology at all? Today, I want to show you what chronic apologizing is actually protecting, and why it has almost nothing to do with politeness. The first thing to understand is that chronic apologizing is not the same as being polite or considerate. Politeness is calibrated. It responds to actual situations where some acknowledgement is appropriate. Chronic apologizing is not calibrated. It fires regardless of whether anything happened. It is not a response to circumstances. It is a default state. Researchers who study this pattern describe it as a form of preemptive appeasement. The apology is not primarily a statement about what happened. It is a signal sent ahead of any possible conflict, designed to diffuse tension before it can even form. I am already sorry, so please do not be upset with me. I am already small, so please do not feel threatened by me. I am already at fault, so there is nothing left for you to blame me for. This is fundamentally different from courtesy. Courtesy says, I see you, and I want to acknowledge any inconvenience I may have caused. Chronic apologizing says, I am bracing for your disapproval before I even know if it is coming. Like most deeply ingrained patterns, this one almost always traces back to an environment where a person learned that their presence, their needs, or their existence carried some kind of cost to the people around them. For some people, this came from a household where a parent was volatile or unpredictable, where you never quite knew what would set them off, so you learned to apologize preemptively for anything that might possibly become a problem. Better to take the blame in advance than to be caught off guard by someone else's anger. For others, it came from being raised in an environment that explicitly or implicitly communicated that their needs were a burden, that asking for things, taking up space, or having feelings made them difficult, and that the way to remain loved was to take up as little room as possible. Psychologists who study people-pleasing behavior consistently find that chronic apologizers often score high on what is called sociotropy, an excessive concern with maintaining approval and avoiding disapproval from others, frequently rooted in early experiences where love or safety felt conditional on being agreeable. The apology becomes a tool for managing other people's emotional states, because somewhere along the way, managing other people's emotional states became the price of staying safe. Here is what most people do not realize about this pattern. It does not just affect how others perceive you, it actively reshapes how you perceive yourself. Every time you apologize for something that was not your fault, you are quietly rehearsing a belief. I am the kind of person who is generally in the wrong. I am the kind of person whose needs are inconvenient. I am the kind of person who must earn the right to take up space. Said once, this is harmless. Said dozens of times a day, every day, for years, it becomes the architecture of your self-concept. There is also a more practical cost. Constant apologizing dilutes the word itself. When you apologize for everything, for asking a question, for having an opinion, for needing 5 more minutes, the apology you offer when you genuinely do something wrong starts to carry less weight, both to others and to yourself. You have spent the currency of "I'm sorry" so many times on things that did not require it, that you have nothing left when something actually does. And there is a relational cost, too. People who chronically apologize often, without meaning to, Train the people around them to see them as someone who is always slightly at fault, always slightly in the way, always slightly less entitled to space than everyone else in the room. Not because anyone decided this consciously, but because that is the story the apologies keep telling, over and over, until it becomes the accepted version of events. So how do you change a reflex this automatic? Because by the time most people notice they are doing this, the apology has often already left their mouth. The first practice is substitution. Instead of eliminating the impulse to acknowledge a moment, replace the apology with something more accurate. Instead of "sorry for asking," try "thank you for explaining." Instead of "sorry I'm late," try "thanks for waiting." This is not just a wording trick. It retrains the underlying orientation. From "I am a problem that needs forgiving" to "I am a person engaging in a normal exchange that deserves acknowledgement, just not penance." The second practice is the pause. Before the apology comes out, there is a split second where it is possible to ask, "Did something actually happen here that warrants this?" Most of the time, when you actually pause to check, the answer is no. Nobody was harmed. No boundary was crossed. There is simply a normal human moment occurring, and your nervous system has mistaken it for a threat that needs immediate de-escalation. And the third practice, the hardest one, is tolerating the discomfort of not apologizing when every instinct says to. Of taking up the space, asking the question, stating the need, and simply letting it exist without softening it first. This will feel exposed. It will feel, for a while, like you are doing something wrong simply by not minimizing yourself.
That discomfort is not a sign you are making a mistake. It is the old wiring protesting a change it was not designed for. Here is what I want you to take from this. If you apologize for everything, it is not because you are overly polite or excessively considerate or simply a kind person with good manners. It is because, somewhere along the way, you learned that your existence required justification, that you needed to soften yourself in advance to be allowed to remain in the room. That was true once, in whatever environment taught it to you. It does not have to be true now. You are allowed to ask the question without apologizing for asking it. You are allowed to take the seat without apologizing for sitting in it.
You are allowed to need something without treating the need itself as an offense. You do not owe the world a constant low-grade apology for being in it. Leave a comment below. Do you find yourself apologizing for things that need no apology? I want to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if this resonated, and I will see you in the next one.